What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 122, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. Frank, how you doing?
Great. Been waiting for August 2nd for a while.
Every now and then I bust out the old Section 10 intro because I miss that podcast so much. It's my all-time favorite podcast, and it's no more. There's a new version of it, but it's not the same. And I busted it out for today. Today's the day.
It's the first day of summer in my book.
The first day of summer in Frankie's book. Summer's almost over. It's August. August is the Sunday of summer. But it's just getting started for Frank Mueller. And that is because today is the premiere of one of our, as a podcast, favorite shows, Big Brother.
Oh my God. You have no idea.
Frank, I'm pumped. It's like during the summer, and I saw on Facebook yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of us having Mr. Pooch on the show. Which
really?
means Big Brother was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks into the show already by now. So we got a late start, which is fine because that means now Big Brother will go. It'll probably end right around the same time as the World Series, maybe a little before.
They said when the finale was. It's like it'll be after the World Series, I think.
In November?
I think they said the first part of November.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm cool with that.
I think.
That is summer extending into November.
What's 100 days from now? It goes for 100 days.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So 3 months. 3 months from today would be November.
Yeah. Yeah, so like November 10th, I guess that would be, or 9th.
Oh, November 9th, yeah.
Yeah, okay, wow, cool. I'm cool with that. We are going to get into Big Brother heavily. Frankie's got some theories that he wants to run by. But, for those of you that are here for sports ball, you will get your sports ball. And we will begin the sports ball conversation in period number 1. Welcome to period 1, y'all. What's good, Skokes? Live from training camp today. What are we doing? I need to get to training camp now that the trade deadline is over in Major League Baseball. Tom, got your beautiful bride with you today. I'm so happy to hear that. Welcome to the show. Frank, it's freaking the dead part of summer for hockey. The best thing to report on is guys just signing their arbitration pieces and becoming millionaires for the first time in their life. You want to just go through them quickly, or do you want to? I'm sure there are a couple that we'll get into some extensive conversation about. One of them is inaccurate on our sheet as of today. I meant to text you and have that corrected, but something on our sheet is inaccurate.
Is it the Swayman thing?
No.
Because you wrote, you thought 2.475 million.
No, I wrote 3. I'm looking at it.
Oh, then I read it wrong.
Yeah, it's 3. We'll get to him in a minute, but I wrote about, we'll lead off with it so we could get it out of the way early. I wrote on the sheet that Troy Terry had a $4.5 million offer from the team in arbitration, and he wanted $8 million. Well, Troy Terry has scored a shit ton of points in his NHL career so far. He's a great player. He's in his mid-20s. He's a very important piece for the Ducks as they build things going forward. Mason McTavish, Trevor Zegras. Troy Terry is right there in the middle of all of it, and he was granted $7 million by the arbitrator. Definitely closer to his number of $8 million than the team's 4.5. 4.5 is a low ball. If I was Terry, I'd be a little annoyed that the Ducks tried to offer that. I mean, we got a guy who could score 40 goals in the NHL. What's your takeaway from this whole situation here between Troy Terry and the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim?
I'm going to read exactly what I have my notes written down, and then we'll compare it to what he got, okay? So, me personally, I said I would give him $6.5 million for about 4 years, and we revisit what he's worth when he turns age 29, right? $8 million to me is a little ridiculous. I mean, you've been in the league 6 years, and you haven't proven that you're worth $8 million, at least to me. On the other hand, the $4.5 million is almost a slap in the face by the Anaheim Ducks. You're an almost 70-point scorer, is one of the faces of your franchise, and you're not going to be making $4.5 million. That's just not going to cut it. Now, Troy Terry just got out of his most recent contract, which just made him $1.45 million per year. And now you expect to make $8 million. I mean, that's just bananas to me. That kind of just doesn't happen overnight. I said I could argue for maybe $7 million if you could really twist my arm for it. But that extra million to get to the 8 would be a deal breaker for me. And I think the arbitrator is going to side more with Troy Terry in this case, which he did. So I feel like I was spot on.
You were spot on. 8 mil's a lot. When I think of 8 mil, you start to think of like guaranteed first line, 80 points at a minimum type thing. Like Heischer doesn't even make 8 mil. Now, when Heischer signed his contract of 7.5 or whatever it is, and I know I always go back to the Devils, but it's the roster and cap salary cap situation I know the best. He was coming off like a 50-point season, like it was an overpay. It was paying for more. Hey, you were a number 1 pick. We think you're going to be this. Luckily, he turned out to be that same thing for Hughes, who makes 8. So it's hard to compare those two to a guy like Terry, who has proven he's a really good player in the NHL. I just don't necessarily think he's not like a guy that you are just guaranteed to lock in on your first line on a Stanley Cup winning team. Second line stud, can drive offense, could score 40 goals. I think the 70-point mark that he's been around at his NHL career is about the minimum for him. I could see him getting 80, 90 in a really good year where Zegras and McTavish go off. Maybe he could hit 100. But, I would still probably side closer to like 80 or 90. And, having a 100-point season, which I think most stars in the NHL are capable of having at least one. We saw Ryan Nugent-Hopkins have one this last season. Not necessarily sure he'll ever break 100 ever again. He never did before that. But, like, if Terry had that one season where he was a 100-point scorer and, like, the Ducks won the Stanley Cup because they were all developed by then, I would be 0% surprised. So, like, seeing him get closer to his number on his filing is good news in my opinion, because he's worth way more than 4.5, and he's probably not quite worth 8, but he's worth close. I think 7 is a perfect number.
That's what I said.
Spot on with your analysis of Troy Terry, and I wish him and the Ducks nothing but the best. I think there's a chance he becomes like a stud, like high-end second line player, medium first line player.
And that extra million that he wanted does make a difference.
Oh yeah.
At least to me. That's like you're almost putting yourself in another tier. And to go from your previous contract of 1.5 million to 8 million is like the profit margins there. I mean, those margins are massive. It's just something like that. Just you have to earn it, right? He hasn't been in the league for like 3 years and just getting off his entry level deal. This is a man who's been in the league for 6 seasons, going on his 7th. So I think there was a little bit of exaggeration on his part, knowing like, hey, maybe if I get this to arbitration, they'll give me more. And I think the Ducks kind of lowballed them, because they're like, you haven't proven that you're worth 8 million, and we don't want to offer too high in case it goes to arbitration. So I wonder if that was a little bit of mindset in both their minds going into it.
Absolutely. If Troy Terry asked the arbitrator for 7, which is what he got, he probably gets 6.5.
Right. And if the Ducks say, all right, I think you're worth 6, and then he says, no, I think I'm worth 8 or 8.5. Now he's getting more than 7 most likely. So I think there was a little bit. There was strategic plays by both parties here.
Absolutely. You know what it's comparable to? And he's not as good as this player, but he's in the same type of contract situation where he like kind of was a late bloomer a little bit, is Tage Thompson. Now, I think Tage Thompson is like an all-world top-line center, like 110-point ceiling, 50 goals. Like, Terry's not that, but he's close. And so I think the number he's getting is perfect, and hell yeah, man, I'm excited to watch the Anaheim Ducks. I'll tell you what, the fact that they're going to be starting at 9 o'clock on most nights when VP's done with the Devils and the Hawks might have a third period left to go by the time the Ducks are starting, hell yeah. I'm pumped to watch the Ducks.
It'll be a fun late night team to watch.
Hell yeah. Them and the Oilers probably are going to be. And Vegas. Love watching Vegas. Every now and then, Colorado, they start at 8 Central. So, like, the Devils are entering the third period when they start. The Hawks are probably in the second intermission.
Mhm.
So, those are the teams I like to watch late at night, even if it's just catching the third. But hell yeah, man, I can't wait to watch the Ducks. Good for you, Troy Terry, getting the bag. Um, you deserve to be paid. You're a good player.
Absolutely.
Frank, we'll go back to the top. Jeremy Swayman and the Boston Bruins, 1 year at 3.475. I hate that it's 1 year because the Bruins, they're getting themselves into a situation where Swayman or Allmark could be moved after next year. I'm kind of a little surprised that one of them wasn't moved this year. It still wouldn't shock me if one was, because Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle are their number 1 and 2 center right now. But as of right now, they have 2 really good goaltenders with a really good defense core in front of them. They have 6. They actually have 7 stud defensemen. They have 7 guys who would be in a top 4 on most teams. And one of them is going to be a health bomb every other night. Like, we saw Grizzly get stretched at certain points.
This was an arbitration deal too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, the Bruins, they got him at a good number. I mean, him and Allmark won the Jennings Trophy last year. Allmark won the Vezina Trophy. Swayman wasn't half bad, though. Allmark was just a tad bit better. Like, not a tad bit better. He was a lot better. But it's clear that playing behind that awesome Bruins D, I still don't think the Bruins are going to give up a lot of goals this year. If they fall back to being like a second or third place team in the Atlantic Division from the President's Trophy, it won't be because of goaltending and defense. It'll be because they can't score. Outside of Pasternak, like, who's in like a nightly contributor. There are guys who are contribute here and there, but I mean, Jeremy Swayman, the 3.475, I think that's a very good number for the Bruins. Actually,
it's right in the middle of what both parties wanted. The Bruins wanted to give him $2 million, and Swayman wanted $4.8 million. So, I mean, he was never going to get $4.8 million on the Bruins. If he went to another team and he was starting,
he might get 7 for 8.
Exactly, but not on the Boston Bruins. Not when you're most likely going to be a backup to Allmark. As long as Allmark, produces the way he does, and if he doesn't, Swayman will get the starting role for a little bit. They'll switch off or do what they got to do. But he'll most likely be a backup. But how you just can't go balls to the walls crazy with a backup goalie giving so much amount of money, because you never know. So I understand the Bruins lowballed him and Swayman highballed it. I mean, I feel like every arbitration deal kind of falls along the same pattern. I mean, he had some of the best goalie stats in the league last year, but he also had the best regular season team in NHL history in front of him. I mean, this is going to be a different Boston Bruins team this year, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that and how his gameplay and stats reflect that. And I think the Bruins realize that as well, and I think that's why they offered him $2 million. But getting him for nearly $3.5 million is definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. The year before, Tuukka Rask kind of retired, and it made Jeremy Swayman the starting goalie. And I do think he was good that year too. And the Bruins only I think they came in second or third in the division that year. The Lightning won the division. Swayman has proven that he can be a productive NHL goalie on a team that's not the best team of all time. So I do think he'll make his money in his NHL career. I hope he doesn't become Matt Murray, because at least Matt Murray won 2 Stanley Cups. But as long as Jeremy Swayman could stay healthy, I think there's a good chance he turns out to be a really good goalie. I'm not a fan of overpaying goalies. You just don't see it work too often. They struggle. They'll have random years where they struggle, and then it's like, do we give up on them? It's a mind game, goaltending. So it's hard. Hellebuck is one of those things. Like, do the Devils go get him? But will he finally have his off year? If he came to the switch teams, it's just a very situation goaltending. Don't get me wrong, I would jump through a wall if they traded for him, but it's one of those things that I struggle with it, and I think 3.475 has their goaltending tandem. I don't know for sure. I forget exactly how much Allmark makes, but it's probably right in the $8 million range for 2 goaltenders combined. I think that's solid. He'll be if the Bruins, again, we both agree they're not going to win the President's Trophy without Bergeron and Krejci. They got Lucic back, so that'll make them more fun. But I still think their defense is unreal. I legitimately, McAvoy might be the best defenseman in the NHL. Um, what's his name? Carlo Grizzlick. Those guys are absolutely unreal. Hampus Lindholm was like unbelievable last season. So I think Jeremy Swayman's in good hands. And he's also not the only goaltender on the Boston Bruins, or the only player on the Boston Bruins to receive a pay upgrade. Trent Frederick, Freddie, 2.23 for 2 years. What do you think?
This is a guy who avoided arbitration. The first two guys we talked about dealt with arbitration. I think this is a very fair contract, making 2.23 million on average per year. It was well earned and well deserved. He had a career best year of 17 goals and 14 assists, a career high of 31 points. He proved it last year, and now that he's done with his entry level contract, he's got to get his feet wet in the NHL. It's time for him to build on his stats from the previous year, from last season, and build a bit of consistency. You know, if he could prove that he could score 20 plus goals in a bottom six role, do you know how like valuable that is going to prove to be? That, I mean, getting 20 plus goals from anybody in your bottom six is huge, let alone doing it on a Bruins team who are hungry to win. It should be interesting to see how his gameplay unfolds. Also, given the much different team the Bruins look like, and the way they'll be put together this year. And because of that, and because of Bergeron leaving, and because of Krejci leaving, I mean, he should be leaned on a bit more in the center position.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And he brings a sense of toughness that I think the Bruins could absolutely use. And it's a team that is, there's no more Hall either, and people forget that there's no more Bergeron, there's no more Krejci. The Bruins are going to look different. Trent Frederick is expected to be a solid contributor. I think he will have more than 23 points, which is normally what we say a contract is worth for a player. But he's the definition of like a third liner,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he could be a very good one. So we'll see how he plays for the Boston Bruins this season. The next one we're going to kind of touch on just a little bit is Brandon Scanlon. The New York Rangers, $775,000 if he plays in the NHL, $100,000 for AHL. So I do wonder, I'm sure there's just some kind of math that goes behind this. If he plays 60 games in the AHL and 20 in the NHL, I'm sure it would be like 20% of his NHL contract and 60% of his AHL contract, however that would work. The NHL one would probably be like even more money, even though it was like significantly fewer games.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, hey, he's going to get a chance to play with the New York Rangers this season, I'm sure. He certainly won't sit in the A the entire year, I would believe. And with the salary cap the way it is, the Rangers get a player under $1 million. So see what happens. What do you think?
It's funny you say that, because I'm kind of leaning the opposite way. I don't think we're going to see him at all this year unless the Rangers go through significant injuries. I mean, you look at their defensemen they have on the team, and in their system, it's probably like the 8th or 9th best defenseman on the team, right? And in my opinion, this is an opportunity for him to kind of mold his game and kind of show us what he's made of with the Wolfpack down in the AHL. And if there are a ton of injuries and he needs to come up, so be it. It'll happen. But I would kind of be surprised if they brought him up this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The Devils had the third most points in the NHL this season. I bet 9 defensemen dressed for them at least once this season. So, do I agree with you that he probably doesn't play all that much? Yes. Does he get one game at least? I would bet the over on 0.5 games played
Really?
for. Yeah.
I would too, just because of injuries, but I don't think they'll willingly play him.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. He's not in their top 6 at all. We agree. The next player I wanted to talk about, Philip Gustafsson, the Minnesota Wild goaltender. He was outstanding alongside Marc-Andre Fleury last season. 3 years, $11.25 million. Bad at math and didn't write down the average annual value. $3.75 million. He makes a touch more than Jeremy Swayman, except it's 3 years. What's your takeaway?
This is a steal by the Minnesota Wild. 3.75 for a goalie who just had his breakthrough season. He's 25 years old. Let's not forget about that. He's young. He had an unbelievable season with the Minnesota Wild, and he's going to be competing with Marc-Andre Fleury this season. But I wouldn't also be surprised if Fleury gets traded at some point during the year. And if that happens, you have top prospect Jesper Wallstedt waiting for you in the AHL. So if Gustafson's your number one and he can prove that, if he could do what he did last year, you have Wallstedt backing you up and getting NHL playtime and, getting his feet wet, him being a top prospect in the NHL. They're sitting pretty right now in the goaltending aspect, and you got the team around you that's playing well, and they're going to be good. They're in good hands right now, especially in the goaltending department. And, the 3-year deal, I think, is going to really benefit Gustafsson in the long run, because this is his chance to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. You didn't oversign him. You didn't sign him for this 6-7 year contract. So after the 3 years is up, if he proves he could stay consistent and, dial in with his numbers, he's in for a giant pay increase come his 28th birthday.
Absolutely. And the thing I want to always remind people, the salary cap only went up 1 million this season. It's probably going to go up 6, 7, 8, 9 million next year. And they'll be back from COVID, like raising the salary cap for the first, like heavily raising it for the first time since before COVID. The ESPN and Turner deals, they've kicked in, but they're still like they were making up for the COVID losses.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be ahead, and the salary cap will go up next season by a lot. And in 2 years, Gustafsson will be eligible for an extension. When he has 1 year left on his deal, he'll be 27 years old. They could say, hey, we have Wallstedt. You want to form a sick duo with him for the next 8 years? Here you go, pal. Here you go, pal. Or they could do right by him and say, you know what? Wallsted's our number one. He's clearly lived up to that potential. If we were to rank our top 10 prospects in the NHL, Wallstedt probably creeps into the top 5.
Easy, I think.
Then they could do right by him and let him leave in free agency or trade him, or, there are all sorts of different avenues they can go down with goaltending, especially Marc-Andre Fleury's contract will come off the books. So I just think it's a great situation for the Minnesota Wild. Once those Parisi and Suter things are going to leave after this season, the penalties for buying them out, then they're going to have extra caps. Like, remember they had to trade Kevin Fiala?
Yep.
So not only are they going to lose the Parisi Suter penalties, they're going to lose Marc-Andre Fleury's salary off the books, and then the salary cap is going to go up by a lot. I believe the Minnesota Wild are going to win the Stanley Cup in the 2020s because I think the young core they've built, they have a top 3 farm system right now. Them and the Devils were the only 2 playoff teams that also have a top 10 farm system. They're going to supplement. They're already good. They're not a great NHL team yet. They're a good NHL team. 3rd in the division, 2nd in the division. They're a great team. They're not an elite team, though. They're a playoff team. They're not a cup team, I don't think, but they're close. And if these prospects come up and Marco Rossi and Wallstedt, Boldy, all these guys are sick, we already know Joel Eriksson-Ek is amazing. Kaprizov is insane. Kaprizov is probably a top 10 player in the NHL, a top 10 winger at least. Then you can go get Leon Draisaitl in 2 years. If Austin Matthews doesn't extend in Toronto, the Minnesota Wild will be in play. I know that might sound crazy, but the big free agents, they'll look at the Wild. Hey, Minnesota's a great they've won free agents a lot in the past. They got freaking Parisi, Suter, Vanek, Fleury. Many people have chosen the Minnesota Wild in the last 10 years, and that's not really going to change anytime soon. So this contract is a go for them. I'm excited about it, and I think they got to get through this season. This season's free money. If they lose to Dallas in the first round again or Colorado in the first round, I really wouldn't be all that surprised. But the following year, big things for the Minnesota Wild. I truly believe that.
It's bad for a Hawks fan.
Not really.
I'm not a fan of the Wild.
Oh, I like the Wild, but I still
rivalries over the years.
Of course, but somebody else in the division is going to be good. The Hawks aren't going to be the only team in the division that's good when Bedard and Reichel and Nazar and Korchinski. You make a huge signing in 2 years too. Like the Wild Blackhawks rivalry, it'll be intense and it'll be awesome. You don't have to like them. You can be excited when 2 division rivals are sick, though. How fun was it when the Blues were elite and the Hawks were elite, and they just beat the crap out of each other for 7 years. The Blues got 1 cup and the Hawks got 3. It was freaking sweet. Like, as a hockey fan, feed me Minnesota, Chicago. Because in baseball and football, the teams are too freaking dumb from Minnesota and Chicago to do anything. So let's run one out in hockey. I'm pumped about it. Give me Hawks, Avalanche, Wild for years and years to come. The Stars are probably better than all of them in the long term too. As far as NHL Central Division teams. Little more housekeeping. Ryan McLeod, Michael McLeod of the Devils' brother, 2 years, 2.1 mil. When he scored his 10th goal in the final week of the season, he made it where every player on the Edmonton Oilers had at least double-digit goals. He's an outstanding two-way forward in the bottom 6. I like the deal for the Oilers.
Yeah, I don't got a ton to say about him. He's just a great defensive center for the Oilers. Bounced around a lot in various different lines last season because he proved that he can. He proved to be a force in the regular season and the playoffs. And he's another guy who avoided arbitration by settling for the 2-year deal at $4.2 million. So good for the Edmonton Oilers. He's obviously a key piece in their minds, and it'll be interesting to see if he does the same thing he did last year and bounce around a little bit.
For sure. I think in a perfect world, when the playoffs come around, he's on the 4th line. I'm very worried that his brother Michael is going to be a name that's dropped that's going to force us to talk about something disgusting on this show. There are 5 players from the 2018 Canadian World Junior team that are going to get NHL suspensions for sexual assault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
and those 5 names are probably going to be dropped any day now. And I have a bad feeling. Not that it makes it any different, like if it's other people, but like the Devils have a lot invested in McLeod being their 4th line center. And if he got suspended, well, yeah, I'd hate him for being a scumbag human being, but I would also hate him for effing up the team. And I mean, Ryan has nothing to do with it. But I mean, I really am not looking forward to having a whole segment talking about that on this show because we were going to have to. That's what we do. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's one other one I haven't named. Kevin Ball of the New Jersey Devils. He was a healthy scratch a good portion of the first half of the season because Lindy Ruff liked to play Brennan Smith every single day. But then by February, it became apparent that Kevin Ball should probably be in the lineup every single day because what he did as a defenseman on this team, a young defenseman, he proved he could play with Hamilton on the top pair. He could play with Marino on the second pair. And he could play with Severson on the third pair. It'll be probably somebody different this time around. But it actually might be Colin Miller, who they traded for, who's a pretty good defenseman. He gets 2 years, 1.05 mil. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was the Devils' last remaining restricted free agent that they needed to sign.
I believe it was. I believe they're done.
Yes. So I think they're now have their 23-man roster set ahead of training camp. And and Ball,
unless they trade for Hellebuck.
But Ball, he isn't the type of guy to go out and he's not going to add to the score sheet. He will here and there just naturally. It'll just happen. But he's a player that likes to add to his stat sheet in terms of defense. He's that stay-at-home type of D-man who find himself on the Devils' third-line pair. He does great on 5-on-5 play, and I think that's a reason why the Devils wanted to get him signed. He's also one of the best shot defenders in the league, which is obviously if you could defend shots well and allow the opposition not to get as many shots off. I mean, that's just crucial for hockey. And you mentioned what, $1.05 million per year, so that the Devils aren't even going to notice that in their salary cap. It's nothing.
No, the Devils can realistically sign Toffoli after this season and still go for something huge the following season when the salary cap goes up. And I'm like super excited about it because they can realistically win the Stanley Cup while Luke Hughes is on an entry-level deal.
Yeah.
And while Luke Hughes is making $750K or $950K, whatever it is, if Nemec comes up and proves he should be an NHL defenseman every day, making $950K as the number 2 pick, Holy crap, you have 3 defensemen either making just a touch over $1 million or under $1 million for 3 years. Like, then you could go crazy. You could trade for someone big at the trade deadline. Let's say Kaner signs a 1-year deal with I don't know, a stinky team, because it's very possible he signs with a stinky team, just knowing he'll get moved at the deadline. Taylor Hall did it. All sorts of players do it. You could go for a guy like that in the trade deadline because you'll have these defensemen that are so cheap. It's not going to last forever. Eventually, Luke Hughes will need a contract, and that'll cost somebody their job, and the team will slowly start to pull back down to the middle of the pack again. You could still win a Stanley Cup, of course, like we've seen Vegas pull back and win. We've seen Tampa pull back and win. But like, you can really strike while the iron's hot, and Kevin Ball could be a big part of it. He came to the Devils for Taylor Hall. It was Kevin Ball, a first-round pick that turned into Dawson Mercer. So, I mean, it's a good deal. He's a big meanie. Every team needs a big meanie. Think of every champion. They had a big meanie on their team, and Kevin Ball can be that guy. I'm pumped. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, they're not even going to notice it on the salary cap. It's just the mill.
Yeah. It's that extra mill that Troy Terry didn't get. That's the difference between taking a pay cut of $1 million.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so big.
It's huge. When the Ducks find their Kevin Ball, whoever that is, he might be able to stick around because Terry got 7 instead of 8.
Exactly.
Hughes got 8 instead of 12. If Jack Hughes hit the open market right now, he'd get 12.5. And he makes 8. Same thing with Heischer. He'd get 10. And he makes 8. So, like, you can sign Kevin Ball and not even worry about it twice. That's why we sit here on August the 2nd and have 0 issues with the Devils roster in terms of financials. I believe that's all the players that we were doing some housekeeping on. Frank, welcome to August, the worst hockey month.
Yeah, you got to get through August, though, to get to hockey. So at least we begun it. We're through the first 2 days almost. So, I mean, there's not much to say, but it's a month that you have to get through before you can get to the meat and potatoes of the NHL season, and it's right around the corner. Trust me, it'll go by way quicker than we think.
It'll go by quicker than we think, and our favorite show, Big Brother, will help. But I've been watching some clips. There's this great Twitter page called Chicago Prospects, and some sick videos of Frank Nazar playing for the World Junior Showcase for Team USA. I mean, I'm so excited for college hockey. I might pay for whatever subscription I need to make sure I'm watching as many games as I can, even if they're on my phone while I watch the Devils. I just want to watch Michigan, BU, BC, mostly those 3. I'm excited for Wisconsin too.
Do they have a college subscription?
No, I don't know. There's Hockey TV, which like has access to like all sorts of different things. We forgot to talk about this on last week's show because it was announced mid-show and I completely forgot to write it down. I want to run it by you a little bit really quick before we get to period 2 because we got plenty of time. There's nothing in hockey other than stupid arbitration contracts for, middle 6 forwards, bottom paired defensemen, and backup goaltenders. Logan Cooley is stunningly not going back to Michigan. Or not Michigan, Minnesota. He signed his entry-level contract with the Arizona Coyotes and will be in the NHL next season. He could have went back and dominated and won the Hobie Baker because there's no Adam Fantilli this season. I mean, what a turn of events. We get to watch Logan. We don't have to watch college hockey to see Logan Cooley. We could turn on the Arizona Coyotes. He's rich. It makes me happy. Good for Logan Cooley.
It should be interesting to see him in the NHL. Yeah, we thought maybe he would go back to college hockey, and
he said he was.
Oh, he's a liar.
Declared he was, and then something happened over the summer where he's like, "Oh, never mind."
He's probably like, "Screw this! I want to go play NHL hockey."
You know what he might have did, Frank? He might have did what I did, and started to form the opinion that the Arizona Coyotes are going to be competitively bad next season. They are going to be. Instead of being the laughing stock, which they were actually a good team last year, people just refused to acknowledge it. There's a reason they didn't even come close to winning Bedard. They had a really good second half. They're going to be a good team next year. They are not finishing in last place in the Central Division. I think the Jets are worse, and I think there's a chance the Hawks are worse. The Hawks will be more exciting because they have Bedard, but the Arizona Coyotes are going to be a good team next year, and Logan Cooley makes them only better. I'm pumped. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I still think they'll be probably bottom 10 in the league.
I do too. But they're close. They'll break out of their shell.
Thomas Gates says the sooner he starts his NHL career with the Yotes, the sooner he could get out of there.
I am not slandering the Yotes anymore. I'm done. I want the Yotes to succeed. I want Arizona's hockey to thrive. There'd be no Austin Matthews if there was no Arizona Coyotes. So go Yotes. Let's get you an NHL building, even though I'll enjoy watching the games at the college rink for the next 2 seasons. Let's get Logan Cooley in there. I'm very happy to see how awesome Clayton Keller was down the stretch last season. Comeback player of the year. They got some good things going on in top 10 farm system. So let's go Yotes. Arizona. Arizona's hockey town. Let's go. I don't give a shit about the Heat. F the Heat.
Wow.
Hockey, baby. Hockey. Anything else about August in terms of hockey that you want to talk about?
Maybe there'll be a hockey competition on Big Brother.
Maybe. Actually, do you remember a couple years ago, the World Juniors was canceled? It was actually last year, or 2022.
Yeah.
The World Juniors was canceled, and then they redid it in August.
Mm-hmm.
That was freaking awesome. We should make the World Juniors in August.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Guys don't have to leave their clubs halfway through a season. The Regina Pats wouldn't have had to play a single game without Connor Bedard. Michigan would have had to not play a single game without Adam Fantilli. They're NHL players that get loaned and go.
But what if you get injured though before the season starts?
Oh, who gets injured for more than a month? Very rare to get injured for something that would take you out of training camp.
But then you get injured, then you got to work back at fixing the injury, get back in the move. Like if it happens early in the year, you got plenty more time.
It would be early in the year. It'd be before the year even starts.
No, but I mean, like, when does it normally take place?
January.
Right. So if it happened in January and you're getting ready for your NHL season come October, you got like 10 months, 9 months to harness your injury or fix your injury.
You're saying like a bad injury that takes you out for 7 months.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, if you have like a 3-month injury, then you're out for playoffs.
That's why I don't know.
There's no perfect answer. I could tell you, Frank, take the side of it being in August, and you'll start running down all these reasons it'd be a good idea to have it in August.
Probably.
Okay, Frank, take the side that it should be in January. Start giving me all these reasons. Frank, argue for me that the World Juniors should just cease to exist and never be played again. Okay, well, there was that time where Kirby Dach, he hurt his wrist.
Exactly. And stupid. We're risking injury to these players.
Was the same player ever again?
Exactly.
There was no league. The NHL was on pause.
Exactly. Should be no World Juniors.
No, give me the freaking play in August and January for all I care. Yeah. Well, the showcase is going on right now, and damn, it was fun to watch those Nazar videos. Guy's an absolute dog. Can't wait to see what he does at Michigan this year. But again, college free agent signing, that's what we have to look forward to in the next week or two. Bardown's going to be a lot of conversation like this, where we debate who are the top 5 goalies and the top 10 defensemen in the NHL, which we will do right here in period number 2. Welcome to period 2. Frank, I can't wait to hear what you came up with for the top 5 goaltenders and the top 10 defensemen in the NHL right now. I'll actually probably really have some shit to say to you when we debate the top 20 centers. But we'll start with goaltenders, which I think we'll probably name the same 5 guys, just maybe a little bit.
I don't think we will. I think we got 4 or 5.
You think we have 4 or 5?
5 really got me stumped, and I put a little asterisk saying I could be swayed.
I'm excited to hear.
The first 4 I can't be swayed.
Me either. I think I know your first 4. Your first four, I think I know. I think there's. Oh, I can't even think of who you might be. If you put frickin' Peter Mrazek or some shit, like I love the Hawks. Frank, who in your
I think
opinion?
I how are you gonna do this? I think there's a very specific way we should go about this.
Lay it on me. I'm down. I'm
But I
open.
wanted to
All
know
ears.
what you were gonna say.
You
Are you
wanted to
just
hear?
gonna, you're just gonna want me to like run down top five?
What do you think I should do? I
I
guess I don't have a perfect way.
I think we should go like because I have them in order. Do you have them in order?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna say like we each just start with our number one, and we talk about our number one, and then you just go to number two, and we don't have to like extremely elaborated on because we're probably gonna have the same number one or two or whatever. So like there's not much to say, but the fifth I could be swayed on number five is all I'm saying. So do you
Okay.
want like I could give my one, you give your one, or do you like it where I run through and you run through? It's up to you. It's up to you.
Let's do it. No, let's do it like how. eh. No, I like the way you said. I like the way you said. Let's each name our number one.
All right. You want me to go first? And then you
Yeah.
could go first with number two. And then I'll
Yes.
go through. Okay.
Very good.
Number one, I got Andrei Vasilevsky. There's not much to say here. The dude's a stud for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know you're going to say the exact same thing. I saw you shaking of the head. There's really not much to say here. I mean, it's just, let's call a spade, right? Like,
Daddy Vasilevsky
I mean,
is on the Mount Rushmore of NHL goalies, in my opinion. If I can start an NHL franchise from scratch and pick any goalie from the history of the NHL, I would take Martin Brodeur and then Patrick Waugh and then Dominic Hasek and then Andrei Vasilevsky. The dude is a stud. He's £1 billion. He looks like a freaking wall in net, but he moves. He skates like Barishnikov, so he could freaking move from side to side as good as a guy who's 4'2". Okay, he literally has the mobility of a small guy, but he's freaking huge and covers up most of the net. He's one of the greatest goalies who ever lived. Is he going to win the Vezina every year of his career? No. Is he going to win the Stanley Cup every year of his career? No. Was he the top goalie in the NHL either of the last two seasons? No. But who is the best overall goalie in the NHL right now? It is Andrei Vasilevsky. I'm happy you went first because I wouldn't even want to hear whatever other answer someone would throw at me as the best goalie in the NHL.
You know what? And he's like Mr. Clutch. Is there a guy more clutch that like when you need to get it done in the playoffs, like he is the guy. He's the guy I would want to lean on and have on my team in those situations because those are some high pressure situations. There's really no other answer.
Did the Leafs beat them in 6 or 7?
6.
Was it 6 for sure?
I'm almost positive.
If it was 6, that means Daddy Vasilevsky hasn't lost a game 7 in like 5 years.
Yeah, it was 6. I was hoping it was going to 7, but no, it was 6.
If it went to 7, Daddy Vasilevsky would have stood on his head and freaking ended the Leafs even easier than Florida did. I'm Mr. Leaf. Go Leafs, go. When they're not playing the Devils, go Leafs, go. But I mean, oh my God, would Vasilevsky had just been Austin Matthews' worst nightmare. He would have his face would be plastered on a big building in Toronto if that would have went to Game 7. John Tavares saved the Leafs from Daddy Vasilevsky in Game 7 once again when he scored in overtime. I have nothing else to say about Andrei Vasilevsky. I have nothing but good things to say about him. I might go to the freaking Hall of Fame when he gets inducted because of how good he's been. You can argue he's the best player in the NHL, or at least he was. I know it's hard to argue against McDusty, but like as far as impact on their team, Andrei Vasilevsky.
I'm interested. I got my list here, and it's just I'm very interested to see that. We're not going to have the same list. No way.
I'm pretty like hard set on my top 5 because like I just based on your comment about how you're kind of on the fence about someone. I pulled up the list of every goalie in the NHL. And I have no idea who you're going to bump out of my top 5. But we'll see.
I even hope our number 2 is the same. I think it would be, but
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I
I have
think I think we're gonna have different threes for sure.
maybe we'll have different
But
threes.
I think my 3 might be your 4, and my 4 might be your 3.
That's fair. I have a sixth guy too, but I don't know. I think there's some uncertainty that kind of clouds him. All right, number 2. You want me to go first?
Yep.
I freaking hate to say it. Absolutely hate to say it. It pisses me off to say it. That it's like when Aaron Rodgers took over in Green Bay and you're like, these assholes have an elite quarterback for the second generation in a row. Are you fucking kidding me? The same exact thing happened to the New York Rangers when they made Igor Shesterkin their starting goaltender. They went from Henrik Lundqvist, who's one of the greatest goaltenders ever. He's not Daddy Vasilevsky all time, but he's in the top 10. I would rank Henrik Lundqvist a top 10 NHL goalie who ever
Absolutely.
lived. And now we have to see his beautiful face with perfect hair on TV every single night, too. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, my God. But now they have handsome as hell Igor Shesterkin in net. He won the Vezina Trophy last season, and he didn't win it this season. His numbers were still great, and if I'm building a franchise from scratch of everybody who is active, that's actually a different question. If I'm building a franchise from scratch and I get to keep the goalie for the next 10 years, he might even be one because Vasilevsky's a tad bit older than Shesterkin, but that's an entirely different question. If you're asking me right now, who's the second best goalie in the NHL, I'm taking Igor Shesterkin of the New York Rangers. If the Rangers didn't have Shesterkin, the Devils would have swept them. They outshot them to hell in the first 2 games, and they had to entirely change their game, how they approached it in New York to turn the series around. They had to stop taking so many shots and be much more selective because Shesterkin was so good. He was so deep in their heads that it actually helped them find a way to win. That's how good Igor Shesterkin. He's a little too good for his own team.
Yeah.
If he stunk a little bit, the Devils would have just kept doing what they were doing and lost.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. VP, we agree. I have Igor Shesterkin at number 2. Kind of figured the first 2 would be the same. I mean, he's just an absolute beast. It's just when he's in net, it almost seems like he has a different mindset that some of the other goalies have, and he just tracks the puck well, gets the job done. A great young goaltender too. You like to have that on a team. What he's doing right now at his age is just truly remarkable. But yeah, he wasn't close to winning the Vezina last season, but he doesn't have to. He's certainly a top 5 goalie on a very good team, and he plays a ton. He just gets it done, and I think the way you worded it, you said it well. I don't want to really repeat everything you said. So I mean, he consensus number 2, and I think he's the number 2 on a lot of people. If you ask people who's the second best goalie in the NHL, I feel like if you're playing Family Feud, he'd be the number 1 answer.
Would you take him first overall in a goalie draft if you were building a franchise?
From now, yeah, because like you go by age and
not to start their careers now going forward.
Yeah, I would.
I would too.
Yeah,
I would too. But I think Vasilevsky, I think his stock's a little bit higher this season. I actually in fantasy would probably take Shesterkin first as well out of any goalie. And the guy, go ahead. You can actually say your number 3 first. The guy I'm going to say for number 3, I would take him second for fantasy goalies. Vasilevsky would be third.
This is interesting, right? Because I think maybe we're spot on with each other. But if it's not, I know who it is. I know who your third is because it's my 4th, most likely. But I got Jake Ottinger at number 3. I think Jake Ottinger deserves the spot as the 3rd best netminder in the league. He's once again one of the best young goalies in the league. He's played a crucial role in the Dallas Stars season, and he's just one of the best players on the team, let alone one of the best goalies in the league. And without him, I mean, we've seen how he's performed at such a young age in the playoffs when he had that one crazy, what was it? He made like 60 something saves in the playoffs. It's like he's a brick wall. And if we're building off youth, and like youth plays a big part in determining how good you are in the NHL, I'm choosing Jake Ottinger. I mean, he's just unbelievable. I would have him right now on the Hawks if I could, and they passed up on him.
They not only did they pass up on him, the Dallas Stars took him with their pick.
Yeah.
I mean, disgusting. I have Ilya Sorokin. Ilya Sorokin, the reigning Vezina Trophy winner. Russia dominates the top three for me. I love Ottinger. You will be hearing more about him from me later, but I think Ilya Sorokin is the third best goalie in the NHL, in my opinion, just based on what I saw last year. The Islanders were dog meat. They gave up chance after chance after chance, and they loved giving up chance, and they hated scoring. And Ilya Sorokin's Vezina caliber season got them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to be a very good team this year. As of right now, things could change. Islanders are off my playoff list, and I had them in last year, and they made it. But I think Pittsburgh's better. The top three in the Metro are a lock, in my opinion: Carolina, New Jersey, and New York Rangers. But then after that, it's like I could see the Penguins being better. I don't really see the Capitals being better, but hey, maybe Ovechkin and Backstrom and Carlson and all them go off and they find a way to be better than the Islanders. The only team that I think is a lock to be worse than the Islanders is Philly in the Metro. Like, who knows? Maybe the Columbus Blue Jackets will surprise. I honestly believe that's possible. But in terms of overall, who would I take on the Devils? If Shesterkin and Vasilevsky were unavailable, it would be Mr. Sorokin.
Very fair. I knew you were going to say that. He is oh wait, you're going, right?
Yeah. My number 4 is your boy Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger was if you eliminate Russia, he's the best goalie in the NHL. And he's American. Just an absolute stud, first round pick in 2017. We were there when he was drafted. I still think it's the greatest rebuild a team has ever had in one draft. The frickin' Dallas Stars in the 2017 NHL draft, in the first 2 rounds, got their number 1 defenseman, their Vezina caliber goaltender, and their leading scorer, all in the first 2 rounds. They had 2 first-round picks where they took Heiskanen and Ottinger, and they got Robertson in the second round. And if you redid that draft, Robertson, I don't know if he'd go ahead of Hischier or Peterson, but it'd be close. And then Cale Makar is number 1. But, I mean, the Dallas Stars did amazing things in that draft, and Ottinger's amazing, and he rounds out my top 4.
See, I knew this was going to happen. My 4th is Ilya Sorokin. Yeah, I mean, this dude's a beast. He single-handedly helps the Islanders get into the playoffs. And, if it wasn't for him, the Islanders would not be a playoff team. They heavily relied on him, and what he did was just remarkable. I'm pretty sure he was top 5 in every goalie stat in the league last season. And, what he does, if you have a guy on your team that single-handedly helps you get into the playoffs, you're going to make the top 5 of any list. Ilya Sorokin, number 4. And we have the same top 4.
We do have the
this
same.
Is where things get a little hairy.
And I think we're both back and forth on the same 2 guys here.
I could be swayed for like 3 guys. Really?
Oh, see, to me, it's a lock between 2.
I know who your 2 are. I'll say it.
It's hard. It's hard here.
This was the hardest
top
one.
4 are non-negotiable to me. Non-negotiable.
Well, that's what I said. I'm locked in on my top 4. The
me
5th,
too.
I could be swayed though. If you want to persuade me one way, you could probably.
You know what's funny? I can be persuaded the top 4 to go in any order. If you told me that Ottinger was the best goalie in the NHL and I need to freaking get a new brain or I need to stop smoking crack, Ottinger is actually the best goalie in the NHL, F. Vasilevsky, I would wouldn't call you an idiot. I would not. I would say, and when freaking Sorokin and Shesterkin are the last two Vezina Trophy winners. So I really think the top four can be argued in either way. But then you get to the fifth, and I'm like, oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, my fifth is Connor Hellebuck. I'm going with Connor Hellebuck. He coming into last season, like the previous, not the 23 season, or no, not the 22 season, but the year before, he faced the most shots and had the most saves. And not only that, but since his first year in the NHL as the number one goalie, which was 2016-17, he leads goalies in games played, starts, shots against, and saves, and is tied with Vasilevsky for second in shutouts. And he ranks third in wins, I'm pretty sure. So not only that, but the consistency he shows on a Winnipeg team that has been up and down over the last few years, I think that he has a chance to blossom into more of his fuller potential on a different team, and we're going to see that when he's gone from the Jets. So that is who I have at 5. It was very tough for me because there are a couple other names, I could see sneak their way in there. I'm interested to see what you say, though.
We'll go over the honorable mentions together because I'm with you. I have Connor Hellebuck as my number
5.
5 for 5.
Wow, I did not think so.
Connor Hellebuck, he came in third place for the Vezina Trophy last season. He's been a top 5 finisher for the Vezina Trophy like the last 10 years. I mean, on a mediocre team.
Wow.
He's been unreal. He's 30, so he's the oldest of all the guys we named. If we're drafting goalies for the future, he might not be in my top 7. But if it's for this upcoming season, it is Connor Hellebuck. He's been nothing short of unreal for the last decade or so. Like, he might go to the Hall of Fame. I'm looking at his numbers right now. Like, he has a Vezina Trophy. He has a Vezina Trophy. His career goals against average is 2.66 and a 916 save percentage. That's very good. That includes a bunch of rookie seasons where he was mediocre. Last season was a down year for him, and he still had a goal, like last season as in 2021-22. It was a down year for him, and he had a 910 save percentage and a 2.97 goals against average. So it was still under 3. And, just above 3 is still a starting goalie in the NHL. In his career, 17-18, he came in second for the Vezina. 19-20, he won the Vezina. In 2021, he came in fourth, and this past season he came in third. So that's 4 top 5 Vezina Trophy finishes, 2-time All-Star, a Vezina win, and a career record of 238, 154, and 37 on a Jets team that was very mid for a lot of the time. There were a couple elite Jets teams. I would say there were 2 elite Jets teams, not including the first half of last year, because there would be 3 if you included last year, but they really fell off a cliff at the end. They played Vegas hard, and it's because of Hellebuck.
Mm-hmm.
And Vegas went on to win the Stanley Cup. So who knows what Winnipeg's able to do if they sneak into the playoffs and meet somebody else. Hellebuck's unreal. I think he's a really, really good player, and I'm pumped to possibly see him on a new team that wears red and black.
Do you know the one I was kind of like on the fence about?
It's a guy that I would have had over Ottinger last year, and I would put him 6th right now. It's UC Saros.
Yeah. It was close.
Saros is like a top 5, what's it called? Top 10, top 5 fantasy guy for goalies. The Predators are better than the Jets, so if Hellebuck stays there, I would have his stock higher in terms of fantasy.
Right.
But to me, those are the clear-cut 6. Saros came in 4th for the Vezina, and he was... Hold on, I have the numbers here. He was just shy of Hellebuck for being a nominee in 3rd place instead. 269 goals against average, 919 save percentage. Those are numbers right there with Hellebuck and Sorokin.
I went with the
I keep saying
consistency.
Sorokin won the Vezina. He didn't. It was Allmark. I'm an idiot. Forget I ever said that. Sorokin's time will come. He didn't win the Vezina, but and hey, Allmark, Georgiev, these guys deserve honorable mentions. But I think the top 6 are I think the top 4 are S tier, and then you get into A tier, and you get Hellebuck, Saros, and then you move into B tier, and that's where you get Allmark, Georgiev, some of the other guys in the NHL that are really, really good. So, did you have an honorable mention that I didn't say?
No, yeah, I mean, Allmark and Georgiev. I think we're pretty spot on. I'm pretty surprised we had the same top 5, but not really at the end of the day. I mean, I just thought maybe that Saros pick, because I know how much you like Saros
I
from
do like
last year.
Saros.
So I thought he was going to potentially be your number 5, but I kind of went with consistency in Hellebuck a little bit more. Like we saw a down year from Saros last year, so I don't know. I just know what Hellebuck's capable of. We've seen more of him over the years, so that's ultimately what led me to put him at 5.
And that's the cool thing about Saros. That was a down year. Came in 4th for the Vezina Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's an unreal player. So if the top 5 is switched up a little bit and Saros sneaks Nashville into the playoffs and he has a really good year or gets traded, I don't think Saros is on the Predators in 2 years. He'll sign a huge deal with somebody else. We didn't mention Bobrovsky, who has won a Vezina Trophy, was dominant with the Panthers in the playoffs. I think the Panthers are going to have a sick year, like a sick year coming up here. I'm buying the Panthers more and more as the weeks go on. Bobrovsky might be a big part of it. There are some young goalies in the NHL that could make this list in the coming years. We both like Wallstead. Spencer Knight is there with Florida. I mean, Schmid eventually, maybe. He's a top 5 goalie prospect in the NHL. Still considered a prospect. I know that's weird.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I think we nailed it pretty
man.
good.
Yes, we did. You want to switch over to defense?
Yeah, if you want to do the defense not the same way, we don't have to. That's up to you. Once again, I got to my 10th, and I was troubling. I was having a lot of trouble in my 10th.
That's funny. That's really funny.
The first, we probably, our first 5 will be the same for sure.
In a different order, yeah.
In a different order. For sure, in a different order.
Okay.
So how do you want to do it?
Well, let's just do it the same. Maybe we'll be a little quicker since there's 10 instead of 5, but
first 2 are chalk in my opinion. Maybe not.
I wouldn't say chalk. We'll probably say the same thing.
To me, if they're the same, it's chalk.
I think there's a clear top 4.
You're going to be disappointed with one of mine not in the top 4. He's my 5th.
It's probably who I think it is. But
yeah, but number 1, I got Cale Makar.
Oh, I got Luke Hughes.
Yeah, right.
Soon.
Not saying he can't get there, but not right now.
He can't. I don't know about one.
Cale Makar, won the Norris, the Stanley Cup, the Conn Smythe. Yeah, he has one of the best points per game ratio for a defenseman. It's Cale Makar.
I think Cale Makar is the second best player in the NHL. He could win a scoring title. And he sacrifices points for good two-way play sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's a year he says, fuck it. I really do. And he goes out and has 150 points because I believe it's possible.
Yeah, you never know. It is possible. I mean, 150, I don't know about that, but he's very talented, that's for sure.
Connor McDavid is Wayne Gretzky reincarnated, and Bobby Orr reincarnated as Cale Makar. And nobody wants to admit it or see it, but watch an Avalanche game. He's just different. He skates. The way he skates is unlike anything I've seen from a defenseman. He's basically Connor McDavid on the back end. And just everything he does is perfect. It's really not a debate for me. Cale Makar is the best.
Chalk.
Who do you have at number 2?
Victor Hedman. Got Victor Hedman at number 2. Has won multiple Stanley Cups. Ton of postseason experience, and because of how good he is, I mean, that's part of the reason. Also, he's just he's not point per game as a defenseman over the past few seasons, but he's damn near close. That's how much he does scoring for a defenseman. And yeah, I mean his defense is just unreal. There's a reason he's probably going to go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So
I got Victor Hedman at number 2 as well. I mean, I think if you could carve a defenseman in a lab, it would be Victor Hedman. He would come out as Victor Hedman because he's got the size on Cale Makar. If you could give Victor Hedman Cale Makar skating, I think that would like legitimately be the perfect defenseman. I would take Cale Makar now and long term and maybe even career over Victor Hedman, and that's crazy because Victor Hedman has 2 Norris trophies and 2 Stanley Cups and 3 appearances. I think Cale Makar probably wins another cup. He'll probably win 3 more Norris trophies. So, like, I legitimately think that's like the minimum for Cale Makar. But Victor Hedman, number 2. I don't think he'll be number 2 for much longer. He's getting older. But as of right now, I'm still taking the stock on Victor Hedman.
very good. I'm interested. You do your number 3.
My number 3. This one's kind of hard. I've been back and forth on number 3 because the player that I want to put didn't even like get a Norris Trophy vote this season. But I still think when push comes to shove, I would take him 3rd overall in the NHL in terms of defenseman, and that's Roman Josi. Roman Josi of the Nashville Predators. He stepped in for Shea Weber and became arguably better. And, you know, he can have tons of points. He's big. He's kind of mean. He's intimidating. He's handsome. I mean, he literally has everything going for him. And I like before what Erik Karlsson did this last season, Roman Josi was the closest to getting to 100 points. And, you know, I could see him doing it again. And Nashville kind of failed him this season, but very few teams are led in scoring by a defenseman. Roman Josi is one of those guys pretty much every year, and he'll probably do it again this year with Nashville, unless Ryan O'Reilly finds a way to have like this sick year. But I'm taking Roman Josi 3rd.
We agree. I got Roman Josi 3rd. He's my favorite player on the Nashville Predators, that's for sure. He's a point-producing defenseman, which you love to see. If you can get a guy like Roman Josi on defense producing the way he can and what we've seen, then that's great. And yeah, he had a down year last year. I don't really blame him all that much for that. And I do believe he was robbed of the Norris a couple years ago. He should have a Norris Trophy on his stats. He's a multiple-time All-Star player. I mean, it's Roman Josi. He's fantastic. And if I was creating a team right now, he'd be one of my top 3 picks. Hence why I got him 3rd. And yeah, that's what I got for you. I expect for him to be on the upside this year. I do think he's gonna. He had he had 59 points last year. I do think he's gonna potentially break at least 70 this year, maybe more. He's capable of doing it. He's still fairly young. No, he's not. He's 33. I thought he was younger than that for some reason. I thought he was like 29 or 30. But no, he's still capable of putting up some good numbers, and because of that, he deserves the number 3 spot for now.
Yeah, his time being that high is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stunned.
Younger than that.
Stunned you have him.
Why?
That's who I thought you were gonna bump out to 5.
No.
No,
the guy you have 4 is the guy I have 5.
Strong disagree.
Really?
Yeah. If you don't have this guy 4, I'm gonna argue with you. I might even get a little mad. Like, I'm gonna see you in person tonight. I would avoid me if you have a different number 4 than me. Because if we're
gonna have the same number 4.
If I have to sit here and say a New York Rangers player is the 2nd best goalie and the 4th best defenseman in the NHL, then you better too. You can argue he's 1. No, you can't. Cale Makar is 1. I should stop saying that. Cale Makar is 1. That's not it's like it's Connor McDavid. Then we could debate who the 2nd best forward is. It's either Matthews or McKinnon, maybe Hughes in some people's minds. You can argue Fox. Adam Fox is 2. I have him at 4 for a little while longer. He's got a couple 30-year-olds ahead of him here at 2nd and 3rd. He came in 2nd for the Norris Trophy last season. He probably deserved to win it. The guy who won it's not even in my top 10. And because he stinks at defense. very good on offense. There's a place for him in the league, obviously. And I think when you have a historic season like Erik Karlsson did, you should win the Norris Trophy. But if he didn't break 100 and had 99, I wouldn't give him the Norris. I wouldn't even vote for him in the top 5. It's the fact that he broke 100 that, excites me. But Adam Fox, man, he's a nasty mother effer to play against. He's unreal. The Devils play the Rangers a lot. I watch the Rangers a lot. I've seen Fox play a large portion of his games, or at least highlights. Adam Fox, man, there's not much more I could say. I'd like to see the goals come up a little bit. If I'm being like some of these other guys are capable of although he is double digits year after year. I guess you can't really ask for that much more from a defenseman. But I mean, he had 60 assists, 72 points. That was, up there amongst most defensemen. I really like Adam Fox's game, and it sucks that he plays for the New York Rangers, but smart Harvard kid too. Good for Adam Fox. 4th on my list.
You're a little choppy there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you think I got Adam Fox as my 4th?
I mean, I don't really care if you don't.
I do. I mean, yeah, he won the Norris in the 2020-2021 season, 2-time All-Star. He's gotten Norris votes every year except his rookie year, and in the rookie year he was 4th in Calder voting. Consistent 70-point player over the past couple of years. That's gonna, to me, just continue. I don't see him regressing that much. His first 2 years in the 40 points, and that's very good for a defenseman who, is just coming in the league fresh. And I mean, there's not much to say about him. He's a fantastic a skater. I love the way he moves the puck. He's got a tremendous offensive awareness. He's just on a team filled with tons of talent, and like you said, he could arguably be in the top 3. I don't know about 2 yet. I don't got him in the top 2 yet, but top 3 for sure, I think.
I think after this year, if he comes in top 3 Norris Trophy voting again,
yeah, Hedman's time is coming too. But
yeah,
right now,
I get what you're saying.
I'm stunned that we're 4 for 4. To be honest,
I don't really know how. And number 5,
we won't go 10 for 10.
You could go with 5.
We're not going 10 for 10.
We'll see.
Impossible.
I don't know. We think alike more than you think. I actually wish I argued with your dumbass more.
Number 5, I got Charlie McAvoy. I had a feeling you had McAvoy 4th, and then I saw Fox, and then I kind of second guessed myself. Like, you're not going to put him ahead of Fox right now. He's probably one of the most underrated defensemen in the league, to be honest with you. There's not many players who can excel in breaking the puck out of the zone and dominate in transition like he does. We don't see him putting up a crazy amount of offensive numbers like, some of the other guys we've named on this list. But, he's only getting better at the young age he is. He's playing on a Bruins team where he's getting a ton of experience to play with some of the best players. Charlie McAvoy is my number 5, and he's also a player that I could see moving up this list in short order.
The only defenseman I would take from 2005 to 2020 over Drew Doughty is Duncan Keith. That's the only. I think Duncan Keith is the best defenseman from 05 to 20. I would put Drew Doughty second. Charlie McAvoy is Drew Doughty reincarnated. Points? Sure, maybe 50, 60. Elite two-way defenseman. Nasty mother. Hard to play against.
Mm-hmm.
Bruins use him in all situations. He could run a power play as the quarterback. He can kill penalties. He's outstanding at 5-on-5, as you alluded to with his transition game. Sometimes he plays with some high-end players. If he's playing with Pastrnak, Bergeron, and McAvoy, Marchand, hard to collect an assist, right? Because those guys are zipping it around, and he's just back there making the smart first pass every time. I bet McAvoy would be amongst the defensive league leaders in points if there was a third assist. And I think there's something to be said for that. I really, really do. Sometimes it's more than just looking at points. Points are not everything. Otherwise, Cale Makar would be like third. There are defensemen who put
Oh
up.
yeah.
Carlson would be first every single season, and the other Carlson might be second. Not even on my top 10. Neither Carlson. I love them both. Would take both of them on the Devils in a heartbeat. They're not in my top 10. And frickin' McAvoy is the same way. I think in 3 years he could be number 3 behind Fox and Makar. McAvoy is unreal. If that draft 2015 were redone, he'd go second behind McDusty, or he might go third behind Eichel. You can argue Eichel and McAvoy back and forth who's more valuable. But McAvoy was unreal at BU. I remember watching him in the Beanpot. Actually, I'm pretty sure McAvoy was the draft after with Austin Matthews. Because the first Beanpot I ever watched was Eichel. The second Beanpot I ever watched was McAvoy involved with BU. And so if that draft were redone, he'd go second. That's where my second comes to mind. It would go Austin Matthews and then McAvoy. Unreal player. Can't wait to see what the future holds for him. I hope he wins a Norris Trophy because points aren't everything. And yeah, number 5.
Number 5, VP. So we're 5 for 5.
We are 5 for 5.
In the same order.
Who do you have at number 6?
6, this is where we fall off. Now I'd be really surprised, honestly, if we have the same 6. Because this man's not in a lot of people's top 6, I would say.
Does he play for a Western Conference team?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll see if it's the same. But I got Miro Heiskanen. Is it Miro Heiskanen? I'm stunned. Get out of here. Now you made me lose my train of thought, dude. At 19 years old, when he came into the league, he was on the NHL All Rookie team. You know how hard that is to do as a defenseman in the NHL at 19 years old. I mean, it's not like nobody really recognizes it down the line. It's not something like people bring up a lot, like, oh, you're on the NHL All Rookie team. But doing it at 19 years old as a defenseman, and then on top of it, this past season, having one of the best seasons of his career by a mile, doubling his career best in almost everything. Miro Heiskanen, absolute stud. He's a stud when it comes to the playoffs. He's on a great team, and I think that's why I have him at 6, is because we see him perform so well each game. He's just a tremendous player. Miro Heiskanen, number 6.
If you're the number 1 defenseman on a Stanley Cup favorite, you're a really good player. The Dallas Stars are a Stanley Cup favorite, in my opinion. I don't really think anybody would argue with me on that. I mean, the Western Conference is very much dominated by Vegas, Colorado, Edmonton, and Dallas right now. We're hoping Minnesota and Chicago could join that fray in the coming years. But I can't believe you're shocked that I put Miro Heiskanen at number 6. I gave him a residual tire pump when we talked about Ottinger. I credited some of Ottinger's success to Heiskanen. I said the Dallas Stars had an insane rebuild in one draft, and I mentioned Miro Heiskanen.
I thought he'd be on your list, but not 6.
And we went through. And we thought at that draft when we were there that it was a down year. And in the top 5 is the second place Selke Trophy, 2 top 6 defensemen according to us, and Elias Peterson, who is incredible. He might be a Selke Trophy guy too. And he probably is the best offensive forward from that draft. But maybe him or Robertson. But, I mean, holy crap. Miro Heiskanen. Unreal. He's kind of like McAvoy, where I don't know if the points will be there for him to win a Norris Trophy from these idiot voters. Because voters don't vote for the best defenseman. They vote for the best defenseman that scores points. Because let me tell you, when I say that Erik Karlsson was truly awful defensively last season, but he had 110 points or whatever it was, which is incredible. I love it. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather see a guy like Heiskanen or McAvoy win the Norris Trophy than a guy who just puts up a shit ton of points. I would. I really, really would. But, I mean, Erik Karlsson will go to the Hall of Fame. But Heiskanen, he is firmly one of the best defensemen in the NHL right now.
I like it.
Now's where we might veer apart.
Watch, we're gonna be the same.
If we're the same, I'll be both
If we go
surprised.
10 for 10, I don't even know. That'd be insane.
I'll be impressed if we have the same 10. But at number 7, I have a young man. Do you have a young man at 7?
Not really.
Okay. This is where we're going to veer off a little
I
bit.
mean, yeah, he's young-ish. It's not like first few seasons young, but
Oh, mine either.
then
He's a
maybe
young.
considered for the NHL. Yes, he is very young, but this man's been in the league for going on 10 seasons.
Different player.
But he's still young, my guy.
Yeah, I'm sure. My guy broke the NHL record for the fastest player to reach 200 career assists. And in the NHL's Vezina Trophy voting this last season, he came in 9th. You know, no first place votes, but
You mean Norris?
or what did I say?
Vezina.
I meant Norris. He did get 1 first place vote and 2 second, 10 third, 5 fourth, 12 fifth. He had 7 goals and 69 assists last season. His 2 brothers play for the New Jersey Devils, so I have a little bit of bias towards him as well. But of course, I'm talking about Quentin Hughes. Quinn is unreal. There's no doubting that Quinn is just an absolute power play genius. And he made my list, my top 10 list for the first time ever now because he figured it out defensively a little bit. You know, I don't just hand it out to guys for points. I don't really care about those defensemen. You know, they're fine. They help. You know, I hated Gustafsson. Couldn't stand him. Nice guy. He sucked at hockey. He was a power play merchant. He had 59 points that one year with the Hawks, and everybody wanted to give him the Norris Trophy. I'm like, are you shitting me? This guy stinks. And I remember telling you and Tom, he stinks. And then he'd score a power play goal. Did you see Gustafsson scored? Yeah, because Patrick Kane gave him a wide open net on the power play. Ooh, that irks me.
I'm not surprised.
But Quentin Hughes.
I'm not surprised about your pick.
Oh, no, I'm not saying about Quinn Hughes. I'm saying it's not just because of the points. It's the fact that these points come with good defensive play now. He stunk defensively early in his career, and that left him off my top 10 list. I don't want defensemen that stink at defense just because they're good at offense. You are not an offenseman. You're a defenseman. But Quinn Hughes, really, really good, talented player. I can't wait till they get him out of Vancouver so he could come play with his brothers in New Jersey. Wouldn't that be cool? It is possible. I don't know if it's likely, but it's possible. But Quinn Hughes, 7th best defenseman in the NHL. I don't think it's that much of a stretch. I know I'm not going to disagree with your number 7 because it's going to be a player equal or just as about just as good as Quinn Hughes. So, but I'm going with my guy at number 7.
Yeah, my guy is not going to get you 70 points as a defenseman like some of the other guys, you know. He is more of a defensive guy that does contribute consistently, and that's Aaron Ekblad. I got Aaron Ekblad at number 7. This is a guy who is going on his 10th season in the NHL. In his first 8 of his 9 seasons, like I said, not going to score you a ton of points, but he's reached double digits in goals 8 times, and points aren't everything, and they're really not here either. That's tremendous that he's done a feat like that because, you know, defensemen, especially the ones like him, aren't known for scoring. Not only that, but I think why a lot of people don't talk about him maybe as much as one of the, you know, better defensemen is because injuries have kind of plagued his career. He's gone through some injuries that kind of slowed down his progression. I mean, you look at his stats, and he played 71 games last year, 61 the year before, 35 the year before that. You see, we're getting less and less games, but he's still managing to score and produce and play defense at a tremendous rate. I think when he's fully healthy, he's a backbone for the Florida Panthers. Not only that, but he came into the league in 2014, and he's helped build the Panthers to what they are today. And without Aaron Ekblad, I don't think this would be the same Florida Panthers team, which is why I have him at 7.
Completely understand the pick. Aaron Ekblad is incredible. This is an Aaron Ekblad podcast. This has been an Aaron Ekblad podcast since before You were on. Me and Joey used to pump Aaron Ekblad's tires all day. He'd be in my top 20. He's not in my top 10. So we're not going to go 10 for 10. But he's probably right outside. If I had to extend the list, I might even put him 11 or 12. I would have to go back and look. But really, really good pick there. I like the pick a lot. Um, hard to argue that, is he the best defenseman on Florida? Yeah, I think he is, because Morrissey had an unreal, or not Morrissey, Montour had an unreal number of points last year, but like nobody's taking him in terms of just an overall defenseman over Ekblad. So like, really, really good pick. In the number 8 spot though, for me, I'm going to take a former number 1 pick, Rasmus Dahlin. Rasmus Dahlin wouldn't have sniffed my list last year for the same reason that Quentin Hughes wouldn't have sniffed my list last year. They weren't good defensively, which makes sense. One went first in the draft, one went 8th of the same draft. And the last thing everybody learns how to do well, especially defensemen, oddly enough, is play defense. And, play defense well, be hard to play against, not just only worry about offense. And Rasmus Dahlin found a way to do that. And guess what? He had 15 goals and 58 assists for 73 points, which is amongst the top 10 players in the NHL for defensemen and points. Might even be top 5. So, and I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he could be Erik Karlsson with defense, because Erik Karlsson used to be good at defense. Ottawa Senators, Erik Karlsson, I think that can be Rasmus Dahlin. I really do. 85, 90 points. Be the number 1 with Owen Power on the Buffalo Sabres, and they can be a Stanley Cup favorite as the years come along here. This upcoming Sabres team is last year's Devils team. Remember I said that. But, I mean, Dahlin is unreal, and it's about time we see him reach that potential that he showed when he was the number 1 pick in 2018. Rasmus Dahlin in at number 8.
I like the pick. My number 8 is Quinn Hughes.
Yeah,
I got Quinn Hughes at 8. A very young defenseman, 23 years of age, 5 years in the NHL, really unlocking his not his full potential, but his higher utmost potential. The past couple of seasons, we've seen him involve a lot, and I think that's going to be on the up and up as well. He's a threat on the power play. Half of his power play half of his assists are come on the power play. So if the Vancouver Canucks are going out there on the PP, that they're going to be double covering Quinn Hughes. So I like the pick that you had him at 7. I have him at 8. I think it's fair. I like him. I like him a lot. I think that he's a great defenseman. I think that if he wasn't on the Vancouver Canucks, I think he would be producing even better, which is why it's impressive doing what he's doing on the Canucks. So yeah, I got Quinn Hughes at number 8.
Hell yeah. You want to go 9, or is it my turn for 9?
I could go 9. Number 9, I got Rasmus Dahlin. So kind of just following in your footsteps a little bit here. We got we're not going to go 10 for 10, but we might go 9 for 10. Actually we did go 9 for 10, right?
No, we have a 10th to announce still, and you don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay, yeah.
For the next 2 picks.
But yeah, Rasmus Dahlin, tremendous defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres. I remember when he first came into the NHL. I wasn't 100% sure on him. I don't know why, but I got Dahlin at number 9.
We're at minimum going 8 for 10, depending on if you have the guy I'm about to name at number 9 in your number 10 spot. Only you will know when I say it, but I'm going to include my guy. I think he's very fitting and deserving to be on this list right now. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be on this list, because I do believe a Luke Hughes. I do believe in a Simone Nemec. I do believe in a Owen Power. All these defensemen that were really, really high draft picks in the last handful of years. I really like the kid in Anaheim, Jamie Drysdale. I really like Sanderson. Jacob Sanderson in Ottawa. These are all guys that could be top 10 in the coming years. So I'm not sure that this guy's going to be in the top 10 for long, But as of right now, going into the season, it's hard to argue against Doug Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton. He deserves to be on this list, in my opinion. I have him in at number 9. He came in 6th for the Norris Trophy. He received 3 first-place votes. And this last season, he was 2nd in the NHL in defenseman goals, only behind Erik Karlsson. He had 22 goals and 52 assists for 74 points. Only Erik Karlsson and Josh Morrissey of the Winnipeg Jets and Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks had more points this season than Dougie Hamilton from a defenseman. So he was 4th in defenseman scoring. He's on a really good offensive team. I'm sure those inflate his offensive numbers just a tad, but even going back to his days with Carolina, he proved he was a stud muffin. It's not just a Devils thing. He's coming 4th for the Norris Trophy in his last year with Carolina. So Dougie Hamilton, 9th best defenseman in the NHL as of right now.
I like it. I like it a lot. We did not go 9 for 10, but we did go 8 for 10. I'll take that. My pick may surprise you, may not surprise you.
We may go 9 for 10 if we agree on this one, though, right? Yeah.
No, we didn't agree. It's not Dougie Hamilton.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So 8 for 10, but I think I might surprise you with this. This is one I could be swayed on with a couple of picks. Same thing as my 5 for goalie, but I'm going with Jakub Slavin. I think he is probably one of the most underrated defensemen in the leagues. I think he's one of the strongest two-way defenders in the league, and you could make an argument that he's the best defensive defenseman in the league. Not going to give you a ton of points, but this is a guy that's going to take care of his own work and his best work in his own zone. He's also a guy that doesn't take a lot of penalties. He won the Lady Byng a few years ago. So I think that does wonders. And, if you could argue Slavin is one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL, he definitely deserves a top 10 spot, in my opinion. And this kid is just getting started.
I don't have Slavin as my number. What?
I say kid, but he's been around a while, but he's still young.
Yeah, he's still young. I don't have Slavin in my top 10, but I agree with your take. If I needed one shutdown guy for one shift, I would take Slavin. I'm down a goal, or I'm up a goal, and I need to kill these last 30 seconds. I would take Slavin. He did not make my top 10, but he would probably be 11, 12, or 13, right there with Ekblad. And then I'll give an honorable mention to Moritz Seider of the Detroit Red Wings. I think he absolutely deserves to be mentioned as an honorable mention as well. But my number 10 might surprise you. I believe.
I thought you just did your 10.
No.
I thought Hamilton was your 10.
No, he was my 9.
Ah.
And my number 10 might surprise you.
So we went 7 for 10.
I don't think so, because we only disagree on 2.
No, because we'll see. We'll see what your 10 is. If your 10 is different than mine, any of mine. Then it's 7 for 10.
How?
Because I have.
You have Slavin and Ekblad.
And you don't, and I don't. You said I don't have this guy.
Up. But so you have everybody I said except for
3 players.
Oh, maybe it is 7.
Your 10th that you're about to name, I won't have, and you don't have Ekblad or Slavin.
Okay.
No, or Ekblad and
No, but it's the ones I said. Who did I say? Right there at the end.
You don't have. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Say it, and then we'll go back.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I need to know.
My number 10 is now, again, don't laugh at me, but I truly believe this. He's the only one who has a teammate on my top 10 list. Which is probably why this team is a Stanley Cup champion with these two. It's Devin Taves. Devin Taves is unbelievable. He is the perfect partner for Cale Makar, to the point where I think in the Olympics next year or the year after, I believe Team Canada will take Devin Taves to play with Cale Makar, because he's that good. And he's that good for Makar. Similar to Team Canada taking Seabrook all those years ago. Seabrook, he wasn't better than Subban or Letang. He just wasn't. But Team Canada took him because their goal was to win, not put up a bunch of points. And Seabrook was a better fit for that team than Subban or Letang. And don't think of Devils, think of Montreal Subban that had like 79 points or something. And, Letang in his prime, not Letang last year. Sometimes that matters. And but Devin Toews was amazing on the Islanders. And for some reason, Lou Lamoriello thought he was worth 2 second-round picks. And I'm like, what? You traded Devin Toews for what? Like, no. There's a reason the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup when they had a trio of Cale Makar, Bowen Byram, and Devin Toews. And Bowen Byram hasn't been as good as I thought so far. Part of that might be being on the Avalanche, being on their second pair instead, where if the Hawks drafted him instead of Kirby Dach, he would have been their number one defenseman by now, maybe. But, Devin Toews, man, he is absolutely unbelievable.
I don't hate the pick. I like the pick. So, yeah, 8 for 10, I think.
Yeah, because I have Dougie Hamilton and who else? Oh, and Toews.
Yeah.
And you have
Slavin and Ekblad. Yeah, so 8 for 10.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Not at all.
Not bad.
And listen, the two you named that I don't have, I would put them with Moritz Seider and figure out how I would do 11, 12, 13. I would probably do Seider 11, Ekblad 12, Slavin 13.
It's fair. Good list.
Slavin gives you nothing offensively.
No, but he's like, I don't care about that. He's one of the best.
Me too. I agree.
Like, he could arguably be the best defensive defenseman in the league. Like you said, if you need a guy to shut it down, he's the guy.
I agree. He's a better version of Hjalmarsson.
He is incredible.
Like, would Hjalmarsson have ever made your top 10? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But I do think Slavin's better.
Slavin's incredible.
He's better than Hjalmarsson.
Like, I'm not taking him on my fantasy team because he's not going to be you don't get anything for defensive stats.
Unless you're in a league like UDL where, like, you get block shots and...
But he is this dude's a freaking beast.
Oh, I know.
And he doesn't take penalties.
No, he doesn't, which is so rare for a defensive defenseman.
Oh,
like, the best defensive defenseman in Devils history is Ken Danico. He's also their all-time leader in penalty minutes. Like,
it's crazy what this guy does.
Yeah, it is. Wow, Frank, what a time! I loved that. We'll do top 10 right wingers and top 10 left wingers in the second period next week, and then the following week we're really going to go at each other with our top 20 centers.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You're really going to get me going on.
Frank, you can't name a top 10 centers. The disparity between like 7 and 30 is close, let alone 7 to 10. So if we only did 10, you're not like, do you want to leave off a Braden Point or a Tage Thompson? I don't. I want to talk about them. I'm talking some Tage Thompson. I'm talking some Braden Point. Some of these like 8th, 9th, 10. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes, just like every other freaking podcast naming their top 5 centers. No, we're going 20. We're talking some Jonathan or some what's his name? Tage Thompson, some Braden Point, Connor Bedard.
We'll see.
He's on my list easily.
You think?
Absolutely.
Not this year, maybe, but
dude, I would draft him.
Season.
I would draft him in like the 3rd round of fantasy hockey.
You might have the opportunity to do so.
People have no idea, dude. I'm just telling you. Don't sleep. Don't sleep, people. I don't go out of my way to compliment the Hawks. I've been the hardest on them. They got me into hockey. I love the Hawks. When they play the Devils, I hope they get their shit faces kicked in. But other than that, I root for them. Kane is like Taves, Keith. I say Keith's the best defenseman of his time. I was obsessed with Corey Crawford. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. His numbers are better than Lundqvist. Played significantly fewer games. But his numbers are like, I'm a Hawk guy. I like the Hawks. I did a whole ass podcast from the Hawk Room. Have you? You got to do a podcast from the Hawk Room.
Why did you do the podcast from the Hawk Room?
I did the pregame show for the Devils.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
You're like, why did you? You did and I didn't? What the fuck?
I kind of remember you, but I was like, we didn't do our podcast. So
No, we didn't.
I was like,
no, I like the Blackhawks. I really do. I'm hard on them.
I agree.
When I compliment them, you can take it for what it's worth. When I compliment the Devils, yeah, there's some bias.
I agree with you if we were doing this a year from now. But I don't know if I could have him if he's never played an NHL game. He might go out there, play one game, get hurt, never play in the NHL again. And then it's like you can't have him on your top 20 list. You look stupid because like nothing ever came to be.
Frank, I legit think like that's like saying, well, I might enjoy the season of Big Brother, but on my way to get there tonight, an asteroid might hit my car and it'll explode.
Well, that's a little more far-fetched, but he could get injured.
Connor Bedard, 40 goals in his rookie year.
This is all just hearsay, though. We're just assuming this is going to happen.
I'm putting him in my top 20.
That's fair.
I am. Oh, I am. He'll probably be near the bottom. He might even be 20. But, like, going into next year, do you really think you could think of 20 centers you'd rather have? There are 2 on the Devils I'd put ahead of him. But I can't, like, who else in the Metropolitan?
He'll be a top 10 in the couple of years, maybe even higher.
Yeah. Well, long term, he might be top 2.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, Zibanejad will be. We're not going to go through the list. That's what people tune in a couple weeks for. 2 weeks from today, you will get your top 20 centers in the NHL. Look forward to it. Frank and I are already arguing over it because you don't have the frickin' stones to put Connor Bedard.
Listen, I know he's going to be great.
You have a Connor Bedard shirt?
I know he's going to be
great.
Burn
that shit. Give it to me.
No, dude, he's going to be great, but to have him in your top 20 before playing a game, like, I get it.
I've only done it for one person.
You're going off of the potential, and I understand, right? I respect it. But I don't, like, I'm not saying I don't think he's going to be good. He might have 40 goals. That's fine. But, I mean, he didn't, so how could I have him on my list?
Because he had 72 last year with the Regina Pats.
You were comparing apples to oranges.
That phrase makes no sense. Why can't fruit be compared?
Hockey's being compared, but they're in 2 different groups. Different flavor, different size, different color, different everything.
If one was a apple and one was an orange, which would be what? The NHL compared to the CHL?
The NHL would be, in my opinion, the orange. Yeah, absolutely. I think oranges are better. They're sweet. They're juicier. They taste better. They have a better time with them.
I think most people would pick an orange. I love apples, though.
Apples are like this. You think of fruit and you think of an apple. I get why people might say the NHL is like the apple because it's like your stereotype fruit. When you think of like, oh, Vin, name a fruit. Oh, apple, right? No, but I enjoy an orange more. They're juicier. You get more out of them, and that's the NHL. The NHL is juicier, and you get more out of it.
I understand. More people like oranges than apples as their number one. But I would take an apple. I hope Paula and Tom are ready to go apple picking again. I'm trying to do apple picking again.
They said they never want to do it again with you.
Oh, well, I won't go by myself then. But yeah, that's fun. I love this. This is great.
This was great.
What were we talking about?
No clue.
What led us to apples and oranges? Oh, Bedard.
Connor Bedard.
I watched TSN. I've been watching TSN. I'm the only American that watches TSN regularly. I have to do it through YouTube, though. They do their top 50 players every year. Mm-hmm. First, they do it by position, kind of like how we're doing it. And then at the end, they make their top 50 players list. And I've seen a lot of lists now. I've been watching it for many, many years. I remember watching it when I first started watching hockey, and Crosby, Malkin, Taves were 1, 2, 3. they had McDavid at number 48 before he played a single game. And it was that moment that I realized that there are just some prospects that you can believe in that much every so often. Every 10 years, you might say. Every generation. I think Bedard's probably going to be on my top 50 player list and my top 20 center list.
That's fair. I think Foster's is siding with me here. He couldn't put Bedard there yet, but he's an Apple guy.
No,
Listen,
he's
I
on
like
my
apples.
side.
Huh?
I don't top 3 in the NFL, I hope. That'd mean they're a Super Bowl contender.
He's on your side with the apple. He's on my side with Bedard.
I'd be okay with Fields being top 10 because
I think he could be top 5.
he
I
could
do.
be top 5. Just who's he going to bump out of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lawrence, Herbert? I know Lawrence isn't there yet for you, but like I
Probably
think
Lawrence
all
or Herbert.
all people think he like will be. He's not. I don't see him being better than Trevor Lawrence. One went 10. One had a division title and a playoff win. One is 5-20.
Now
Yeah,
but listen, over time,
I'm sorry.
he's not
I'm
ahead of him right now. No, I didn't say that, but long term.
I'm hard on the Bears. Justin Fields is 5-20. You're right, Thomas Gage. He did go 11. The Bears traded up from 20. He's closer to being a bust than a star.
We'll see.
I hope he's a star though. Let's go Bears. Let's go Bears. Frank, let's get to what we've been waiting to talk about all day long in period number 3. Frank, it is time for Big Brother. You said you have some inside scoop. Lay it on me.
Not necessarily inside scoop, but just taking stuff that I've heard and kind of putting it into my own little ball of fun. So, listen, I know I told you this before. I'm feeling the way. So I'll say this. You know how I feel about the cast. I was a little underwhelmed. You say let the past die. Listen, I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of people are upset. Janelle, I don't know if you know who Janelle is, but she was
Yeah.
you know who Janelle.
Michael broke all her records.
So she before the cast was released, she kind of had like an insight who's going to be on. She said it's boring. She's bored and disappointed with the cast. There are people saying the casting directors need to be fired with the way they cast it. However, I'm kind of coming along with the theme here of this season, and I got some theories of why they chose this cast. So Julie did hint at house guests returning this season. She did a video of her touring the house, right? And somebody like asked a question in regards to, would the 3 players, you didn't watch the video of the 3 players shooting the laser and it like changed the house, but it was Danielle, a different Danielle from seasons past, Frankie Grande, and Brittany. And they went to the house.
All the people they had in that special.
Yeah. So you watched the special, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the 3 of them snuck into the house and they shot this like laser, right? And like something went wrong. Like whatever they planned didn't go right. And it kind of was like opening up a rift in the house, right? So now it's leading me to believe that the theme of the season is the multiverse, which I think would be tremendously cool, right? So there's Sari from Survivor. You probably don't know who she is. You weren't watching at the time. Her son is on the show. And this guy, Zach from Survivor, his brother's on the show. And just last night, Brittany made a joke. Now, remember, she was in the house when this twist occurred. She made a joke saying, "Oh, Big Brother fans are so silly. I'm off to Greece." Okay. And she there was like a picture of her like going to Greece, right? And the reason this kind of has so much significance and so much weight is when Janelle was being cast on Big Brother 14, she used the excuse to like people she didn't want to know, she didn't want to let anybody know that she was going on the show. She used the excuse, "Oh no, I'm just going to Greece." Okay? So now it makes me to believe, okay, so Brittany's obviously not in Greece. She's using the same thing that happened 11 years ago. Is she like part of the multiverse? Is like, did Brittany go to Greece instead of Janelle? Is like, are we seeing multiversal changes? The way the video looked like when they shot the laser is it like opened up a rift in time, kind of like we've seen in Marvel with like the multiverse and all that. So that's where it's kind of leading me to believe. And strangely, all these players look eerily similar to somebody who's played in the past. What, and this is like way out there, but what if there is a multiverse and the people that they resemble come in and play a game or play a week for them or play in a challenge for them, and they're like the new Danny or they're the new so and so? Get it? Because that's how the multiverse works. There's an infinite worlds and you're in each of them, but you're different in each world. It's like maybe something like that along the lines. I don't know, but I'm getting multiverse vibes, and from what I'm reading and seeing and hints, that's kind of the way I'm leaning.
That would be crazy. I'm confused already.
I know you. I figured this would confuse a lot of people, but
like I get it thinking about like the multiverse of madness and stuff.
multiverse is
Like
very confusing concept.
the Stephen Strange in this universe is different than the Stephen Strange in this universe.
Right.
And Peter Parker's a photographer that likes Mary Jane in this universe, but he dates Gwen Stacy and is a high school student in this universe, but he likes Zendaya and learns from Tony Stark in this universe.
Right.
Vinny Parisi in this universe is a Cubs fan. Vinny Parisi in this universe is a doctor. That'd be cool.
It's not impossible. Plus the America blue and red. That's just weird. That's just random. It's not a coincidence. I've been watching Big Brother for 15 years, and just stuff like this isn't coincidence. I have a feeling maybe they're split up into 3 teams of red, blue, and America. That's very possible. Or maybe that's not even their real identity. I don't know. Maybe they're using it as part of the multiverse. Like that's not who they are, but eventually they turn into, I don't know. I really don't know. Right? There's been conflicting information, right? Somebody posted a little theory last night, okay? And it says, "Hear me out. What spooks me about America Lopez is how she doesn't have any social media. She's a 27-year-old girl from Texas. How does she not have at least an old Facebook account or something? People have looked and have yet to find it. Knowing that, it got me thinking maybe America Lopez is using a fake identity as part of the multiverse twist. America is a rare name, but is so perfect for a Big Brother house guest. With all the America's player, America's teams, America's favorite house guest, there's so many opportunities for Big Brother to do some classic puns about it. It also so convenient that there is also a red and blue in the cast. The jokes almost write themselves. People have been theorizing about the multiverse being the major twist in the season. Time could go reverse, forward, people coming back from being evicted, etc. I think part of the twist is that at some point in the season, America will revert to her true identity, which is in the current universe, but she has an alternate identity in the or I don't know. It's very confusing, but somebody said that this has kind of been debunked since, that people did more research and kind of figured out where she's from, that she's a diehard fan, but she deleted her social media account because, she knows how crazy Big Brother could be. That's all conspiracy because the words didn't come from her mouth because she's in sequester waiting to go into the Big Brother house. But there just seems too many things that are not what it seems,
That's also wild. My brain isn't a pretzel. Katie says America is fake.
It's right there. I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't think she's real. I think she's using an identity from a previous universe. I do.
You guys are wild. Can't they just put the people in the house, play the game?
No.
Jesus.
Like
I'm pumped though.
And you should watch the video when we're done before you leave. It's a 3-minute video. The 3 of them say like they make mention of changing the past. Like, oh, I'm not going to let this duo do this, or oh, I'm going to really win this competition that I wasn't able to win. So it's like, are they trying to change the past? Is that a theme too? That wouldn't necessarily be a multiverse, but it's like going back into the future, going back in time, which is kind of the multiverse, but not really. It's very confusing this year. Very confusing. But I'm all for it, and I can't wait to get more confirmation on it later on.
And you think we will tonight?
Oh yeah, they'll reveal the twist, like most likely. We'll get a decent idea.
Okay.
Maybe the
fun.
house guests won't know, but we will.
Okay. That's fun. I'm excited. I really can't wait. I've been looking forward to this all summer long.
And maybe we're all just overthinking about it. It's going to be 16 house guests with the name America, blue, red, and they're just going to have a dandy old time.
Yeah, I'm not leaning that way, though.
No, I wouldn't either. It's just something seems off.
Yeah, that's definitely
Do you have anything to say about it? I mean, I've been talking and yapping about it. You got anything to say?
I'm just excited to watch. I loved it last year. It was like an extra sport to have. Like, oh, the White Sox play today. Oh, the Devils play today. Like, oh, Big Brother's on tonight. Like, someone's gonna win somebody's either gonna win head of house, win the competition, or get evicted tonight. Like, one of those three things is happening. 3 out of 7 days is a lot. I love that though. I'm truly excited. I feel like a new part of my entertainment pizza has been delivered to my house, and I'm ready to eat it. Like, I love a lot of things. I like a lot of TV shows. Been running Ted Lasso lately. Love it. It might break Breaking Bad's record for favorite TV show of all time. I'm trying to get into finish the Marvel shows. Your pal Dylan doesn't like Secret Invasion at all. It doesn't seem like
He loved the first 5 episodes. Like, he was raving over it, how good the show is, and he was disappointed in the finale. I disagree with him. I love the finale. I think it was great. I get why he doesn't, but
okay. Well,
he liked the first 5. Don't let it get you wrong. He kept texting me out how great it was.
yeah. Well, maybe Twitter changed his mind, or X.
There you go.
But I mean, the reason I even brought that up at all was like, of all the things I like, I look forward to Big Brother like equally like near the top. Like, football's coming back, baseball's getting close to the playoffs, hockey's going to start soon. Big Brother's though right near the top for things I love. Katie wants to know what snacks should people eat while watching Big Brother, and I think
Slop.
that's ew.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, she's trying to get at what should we bring over. What about a donut? Will you crush a donut?
Sure.
You'd eat a donut.
Why wouldn't I?
I don't know.
Apples, grapes, strawberries, cantaloupe, all with plain vanilla yogurt dip. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not a bad.
If I asked you what I needed to eat before running a marathon, not being fat on my couch watching Big Brother.
It sounds delicious.
It does sound delicious, actually. I like all 3 of those fruits a lot, actually. Especially strawberries. Strawberries are my favorite fruit.
Foster's trying to kill G. I see what he's trying to do.
Oh, yeah, that sucks to be allergic to strawberries. They are the best fruit. MLB trade deadline.
Yeah.
It came and it went. Do you have any thoughts?
Candelario's a Cub once again. Verlander's back to the Astros. I'm surprised Rich Hill went to the Padres. I don't know why they want him. He's old and he stinks. He's absolutely horrendous.
I'm surprised they bought it all. I tweeted about how dumb I think the Padres are.
The Padres already stink, and to me, that doesn't help their cause. It really doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of like those things like, you're an idiot, you want attention. I'm not going to give Rich Hill and the Dodgers that, or not to the Dodgers, the Padres. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And Flaherty to the Orioles, that's big. That's big. The Orioles, they're trying to be those contenders this year. They're making moves. They got a really good team. Those were the 4 big takeaways I had. I'm sure you have more.
Yeah, the Miami Marlins, they tried to add some pop to their lineup, so they traded for Jake Berger and Josh Bell from the Guardians. So that's a lot of home runs being added to their lineup. Their offense stinks, but their pitching's elite, so they're going to try and get a wild card spot now that their lineup might have a little more pop to it. And you could get a even more in-depth analysis of the 2023 NHL or MLB trade deadline on tomorrow's episode of Crosstown Crosstalk at 2 p.m. I'm going to go deep into the trade deadline and break down just about everything big that happened. So very much looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time, or when we're done recording around 3 p.m. Central Time. You'll be able to find it on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere else you could find a podcast. So make sure you do that. Frank, did you see the Barbie movie? Katie wants to know.
I did not see the Barbie movie yet, or Oppenheimer.
You haven't seen Oppenheimer either? Okay.
No.
Do you plan on seeing both?
Yeah.
I would recommend it. I didn't see Oppenheimer yet, but I will. It's people are giving it 100 out of 100.
People say it's incredible.
Yeah, like Jeff D. Lowe gave it 100 out of 100. Dylan gave it 100 out of 100.
Dylan gave it 100?
Yeah.
I didn't ask for his rating.
Dylan gave it 100.
Wow.
And I gave Barbie movie an 81. I thought it was great. It was a really good movie. It was fun. It's not like this, all-time great film like Oppenheimer, but it is a very, very fun movie with fun characters and fun colors, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Wow.
You have any thoughts on NFL training camp?
Not really. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to the NFL training camp. Just been seeing some clips here and there.
Okay. My biggest takeaway is Chase Claypool has been unreal. I'm not sure what he's going to be like once the season starts, but he's been a standout so far. And then I know for a fact Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are going to be so sick, and they're going to shove it in everyone's face. It's going to be awesome. He's a generational talent. I mean, he's unreal. Can't wait. I can't wait for him to be considered the third best quarterback in the NFL. It's going to be so fun. But if you want to hear more about NFL training camp here at the Barroom Network, we have tons of programs that are talking about it every single day. Frank, what are you watching this weekend?
I'll be they released the trailer for the new Saw movie. There's a new Saw movie coming out, and we haven't finished them all with G, so I'm maybe start those back up with her again. And of course, Big Brother Sunday.
Very good. And of course, I'll be keeping up with baseball, of course, watching tons of baseball. There is a football game tomorrow.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame game.
The Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. So there will be football to watch. That's
Jets
exciting.
and Browns.
Jets and Browns. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will play or anything. There will be no Deshaun Watson or anything like that. But two teams that could end up being bubble squads in the AFC competing against each other in the Thursday night Hall of Fame game. That should be fun. What else? Finished Ted Lasso for sure. We're almost done. It's only 3 seasons. We're about a quarter through the third. Knocking on Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones' door for the greatest TV show I've ever watched.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unreal. And then I don't really know. Big Brother. On Sunday, we will be going to a rooftop for the Chicago Cubs versus Atlanta Braves. And I will take this moment to wish Katie a happy birthday early. I love you very much, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you do for me. And I'll say happy birthday to you on every podcast I do between now and then. But a special Bardown happy birthday to Katie. We love you very much. I love you very much. And I can't wait to celebrate you. That's what I'm watching this weekend. Me celebrate Katie, and Katie celebrate herself.
You're watching Katie this weekend? That sounds like stalking. You're just watching her?
Chill, bro.
I mean, I didn't say it. You said it. Those were your words.
I said I'm watching Katie enjoy herself this weekend.
That's even weirder.
But she is going to enjoy herself this weekend. She has a lot of fun. Frank, say happy birthday to Katie. She wants.
When's her birthday?
Monday.
It's not her birthday. Happy early birthday, Caitlin.
What an a-hole you are. At least
I said happy birthday.
Yeah, but happy early birthday, like freaking grow up. You say, look, even Foster says happy birthday.
Who's Foster? See, Thomas Gage agrees. That's even weirder.
Yeah, because when Thomas Gage says something,
listen,
that makes me completely 180 flip.
He's got my back.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the weekend. I'm not gonna wear Brave stuff to the rooftop, even though I love the Braves.
Wow.
It's Katie's birthday.
Where's my thanks, Caitlin?
Get out,
I said happy birthday.
Frank. Summer's winding down. What are you gonna do?
I want to go to a fest. I haven't gone to a fest this year.
What the hell's wrong? Then maybe when someone invites you to one, you should go.
Yeah, maybe if I'm not busy when you invite me, I'd go.
You were not busy. You were sitting at home with your finger up your butt when we saw the All-American.
No, I
reject.
wasn't.
know
I
you
forgot
were.
what I was doing. I told you what I was doing. We were doing something that day. And you're like,
it was a Thursday.
yeah, and we had something going on. And you're like, oh, well, if that gets done.
All right, well, we're going to the Taste of Roselle Friday. See you there.
Maybe.
You won't.
Probably not.
That's a fest.
It is a fest.
It's a fest, and it probably has my second favorite food of any fest.
What is it? Taste of Rosemont?
Roselle.
Roselle?
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
Play some bingo. Maybe play a couple games. Hell yeah.
I like fairs more than fests. There is a difference. Don't knock it. Trust me. Trust me. There's a huge
time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
You know, you've been done with Game of Thrones for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall that you told me that when you were done with Game of Thrones, you were going to watch Breaking Bad.
That's correct.
But it was also a lie.
It's not a lie. I'm going to.
Yeah, but if you watch it like a year from now, that doesn't count as when you finished Game of Thrones.
There was a lot that came up. I forgot what it was. I think we're getting into the meat and potatoes of Door County. And then, yeah, things kind of got away. We got busy. And listen, I've watched more recommended stuff than you have for me recommending you things to watch.
All right, well, yeah, like what?
You don't watch Stranger Things.
Oh, but Katie has, I think. Is that the one? There's one of them that you recommend that she's watched that I haven't. Maybe what's the show about the bikers?
Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't recommend that.
Dylan says we should watch Sons of Anarchy. Well, I'd like to watch all these shows.
Well,
but
same like me. Nothing stopping you, right?
Yeah, that's true. You need to watch Ted Lasso too.
See, you make all these recommendations. But...
Well, you know what's cool about Ted Lasso? All these other shows, people like die, get killed, overdose on drugs, get their nutsack cut off if you're weak. And then you have to watch somebody else shove it in your mouth after. That was disgusting. Ted Lasso is just a feel-good story. You just smile the whole time you're watching it. It's awesome. It makes you happy to exist and be alive. It's like a feel-good family show, and it is just awesome.
Fair enough.
Watch Ted Lasso. Highly recommend. I recommend that more than Breaking Bad.
I'll add it to the list.
If I got to pick which you watched, I'd pick Ted Lasso first.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I would. It's easy, too. 3 seasons. Every episode's somewhere from 25 to 40 minutes. I think there are a couple 50 burgers in there, but for the most part, it's light. Yeah, I love it. I was hooked from the first episode on. But yeah, time for you to make America money. Go ahead.
And I've been catching up on Marvel. Something else you haven't been doing. So that is also why I haven't started Breaking Bad. Listen, we went another perfect week last week. We're now 5 games over 500. We're on a heater right now. Let's keep it going. I mean, we haven't lost in 2 weeks. So we got 2 more picks.
Ooh, you're lucky Lance Lynn stinks. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was 7-2.
You were so happy. Bean's going to be wrong.
Oh.
Woo!
The White Sox tagged Kyle Hendricks. They made Kyle Hendricks look a fool. And then
reality set in. Lance Lynn stinks, and we move on.
he's
Pick
gonna
up
go
another dub.
gonna go to the Dodgers and be sick.
So, with that, I got 2 more picks for you today. We got a blockbuster of a matchup. Maybe not this year. Maybe this was last year. But the Yankees kind of stink this year. We got the Rays at the Yankees. McClanahan versus Garrett Cole. What an elite matchup. I just wish these teams were playing a little bit better and it would be even better. But nonetheless, 2 great pitchers going on pitching tonight. Slime seems like a trap, but I'm gonna fall into it, right? The first 5 over under is 4. That just seems like a lot of runs. I know McClanahan has been cold lately and given up like 2 to 3 runs. But, I think in a big matchup against Cole and the Yankees, he'll find a way back to fight back in a rhythm. So I like the under 4 runs here for the first 5 at -110. Both pitchers, a lot when damage is done against them, a lot of it comes from the long ball. So hopefully through the first 5 innings, none of that occurs too much and it stays under 4. I like it. There, being an even number, there is a chance for our second push here, but we'll take the Rays and Yankees under 4 for the first 5. Second game is between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. The Orioles, man, they've been on a heater. You got Grayson Rodriguez pitching for the Orioles tonight. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons, and he's facing off against Yusei Kikuchi of the Blue Jays, who's had a tremendous season for the Jays. Like I said, the Orioles, man, they're having the seasons of their lives. They really are. They've taken the first 2 games of the series. They've scored 13 runs last night. They've just appear to be unstoppable. But Rodriguez has been so up and down this season. I think on the road against a tough Blue Jays lineup, the Jays can get it done, especially after a big explosive night last night by scoring 13 runs. I like the Blue Jays in the spot, getting them at a fair price at home against a weaker pitcher. I like the Blue Jays money line at -122. Those are my picks.
Very good. I hope you win every one.
Let's go again to sweep the board. That'd be great.
Yeah, start pushing 60% instead of this 50%.
That's tough. That's tough.
No, I know. It is tough. Then you're like Stu Feiner and you could become a billionaire or a millionaire by like selling your picks. Yeah, I saw it. Don't care. I can't imagine being that close-minded. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, good picks. I hope you win. I hope people that fade you lose and lose all their money.
Wow, fair.
We're gonna get a betting sponsor soon, and I think I know just the play for that.
Cool. Don't give away any hints.
Hell yeah, no hints. No hints, no free ads.
No free ads.
Frank, what a show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did because the offseason stinks for hockey. It's hot outside, and Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes are on a boat together. And, I'm watching them just be on a boat when I could be watching them be on a different kind of water surface. It's coming, though.
It's coming.
You know why? Last year and the year before, the White Sox were good. Like, they were good in 2021, and they were okay last year. Like, enough to be, like, worth watching every single game, like, be invested like that. This year, it's like, I'll throw them on my phone. I'm not, like, begging to get them on the TV when I go out like I am when they're, like, when I need to be seeing every single second. And that makes me want hockey season more. Last year, I didn't care. It was like, oh, great, another Devil season that's going to suck. And then they were really good, and it was a pleasant surprise. Now I'm like, the Devils are probably going to be fucking really good. And, like, the White Sox suck ass. Like, they're, like, so bad. And, at least if you're going to be so bad, be like the Royals or the A's, where, like, you have a chance at the number 1 pick. I know the number 1 pick's a lottery now. And, hey, I'll watch the MLB lottery this year. Last year, I can't remember what I was doing during the MLB lottery, but I remember I was out, and I remember reading that the Twins moved up like 10 spots on
Probably
my
watching
phone.
Big Brother.
No, it's in the winter.
Oh.
I was watching it.
Duh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was watching it, and I got home from somewhere, and I saw on my phone as we were pulling into the driveway that the Twins moved up 8 spots. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens. The White Sox blow. I haven't blown yet. I haven't made a video or a podcast segment where I screamed, but I'm going to. I'm absolutely going to. If Rick Hahn goes on and says something stupid again, there's
Damage
no
in October.
damage in October. That fucking asshole. The only damage being done in October is your face, idiot.
Fair.
And with that, I hope everybody has a very, very good weekend. I am going to go get in a car, put some gas in it, grab myself a soda, and head on over to pick up my girlfriend from work. And then I will head over to Frankie's so we can watch Big Brother. And we are going to have a great night doing it. And I hope everybody here on the Barroom Network enjoys if they decide to partake in the Big Brother love. And if not, we know there's plenty of sports going around here too, but that's the cool thing about the Barroom Network. Aldo encouraged me when I first started Bardown to have a small portion of Bardown be pop culture, and I think we've done that. Like my favorite podcast now that Section 10 is gone is Spit and Chicklets. They had a pop culture segment too. Rear Admiral loves movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he would like tell the boys like what they need to watch, and Grinelli and Biz and Wit would come back after watching it and they'd review it and stuff. And I think Bardown has a very similar like pop culture stuff, and we watch Big Brother. We keep up with what's going on with music and movies and all that. I will see Oppenheimer soon. I have a review coming for both of them. Once I see them both, I'll release them at the same time. So I hope everybody enjoyed today's show. Frank, is there anything you want to get off your chest before we peace?
Everybody, happy Big Brother Day. It's going to be a fantastic night if you're a Big Brother fan.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Foster, the Cubs-Reds game will be on someone's phone. Fairly certain about that. That's huge. That's a huge game. I hope everybody enjoyed today's program. And make sure you tune in to Crosstown Crosstalk tomorrow at 2 p.m. Looking forward to all of you joining the madness. And as always, thank you for listening.